We'll start with chanting Om 3 times, followed by the invocation shlokas. Inhale deeply. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Good morning, everyone. Hari Om. Today will be the last session of our Sunday morning satsangs. We'll be taking a break for a couple of months for summer, and we'll be restarting in September. So we are covering chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, we won't be able to bring a logical conclusion to this chapter today before we leave. However, let us review what is the context of chapter 8.
Can I ask a question, Venkat?
Sure, just go ahead.
I've been wondering about this because you said the last two shlokas or verses are in a different meter. Do we know why that is?
Yes. Whenever there is the shloka changes in a different meter, so that means understand that the teacher is saying something very important and he wants the student to pay attention.
Okay.
For example, if I am speaking to you and I'm talking monotonously, suddenly I get excited and enthused and I changed my voice and the pitch and things like that. So that means what happens is that even if you are like, yeah, Venkat is speaking. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, something is happening. Let me pay attention. What exactly is happening here now? What now? Okay, so
Makes sense.
yeah.
Thank you.
So that's why so that's where like whenever a change in meter is there, so that means that there's something important is going on. Not the other thing is important, but either it is like a change of shifting of gears or shifting of topic or something very important. Okay, so you better listen to this. So that's how. Okay. Does that help, Jay? So the context of chapter 8 actually begins in chapter 7 itself. In chapter 7, Bhagwan started talking about Jnana Vijnana Yoga. So in Jnana Vijnana Yoga, he has talked about the nature of this universe, right? And which is Para Prakriti and Apara Prakriti, and which is lower and higher natures of his own self. And he said, like, both of them are me alone. And people cannot understand my nature because of my Maya. And those people who don't understand my nature, they are going to be struggling in this samsara, okay, in this transmigration of life and life after life after life. And those people who are seeking my protection, seeking surrendering to me, they are likely to cross this samsara sooner than the others. And among those people who seek my refuge, as in God, Lord's refuge, he says that there are four categories of people. I mean, four categories as devotees: Artha, Artharthi, Jignasu, and Mumukshu. Now, in sorry, Artha, Artha, Jignasu, and Jnani, sorry, not Mumukshu. So, Artha is someone who is in need and praying to God. Artharthi is someone, I mean, actually, Artha wants to get rid of some issue, some problem, whereas Artharthi wants something that he likes, and Jignasu is one who curious to know more about God, and Jnani is one who already knows God. Obviously, Jnani is much higher than the other three. Now, as far as all of us, we sometimes we are Artha, sometimes we are Artharthi, sometimes we are Jignasu. So, like we are shifting between these three states until we become Jnani. Now, Jnani is what? One who understands that, one who fully realizes and understands that Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. That is, Bhagwan alone is everything. Everything means everything as in living and non-living beings. Things that I like, things that I don't like. People I like, people I don't like. Good situations, bad situations. Me included. Is God alone. There's nothing other than God. This understanding, when it is fully dawned and they actually experience that, that is called as Jnani. And obviously, Jnani will attain liberation right here, right now, as soon as that Jnana comes. Okay? Whenever that Jnana or that knowledge becomes their own aparoksha jnana, meaning it is their own self-experiential knowledge. It becomes, right, when it becomes self-experiential knowledge, that moment they become jnani. Now, whereas people other than jnanis, right, they can also, okay, they can also get liberation. How? When? So that's where like Bhagavan used certain terms at the end of chapter 7, and which but Arjuna asked, what are the, like, asked to define those terms. And he said that, so those terms are nothing but understand that Bhagwan is Adhyatma. Now, Adhyatma meaning what? Now, this category of people, this category that Bhagwan is talking about is, I have faith in scriptures. Whether it is scriptures or teacher or God or myself, doesn't matter. I have faith, but it not become my personal experience yet. Because of my faith, how am I treating God? I mean, like, where am I seeing God? Is that there is God within me, Adhyatma. Okay? And God is everywhere, and God is Brahman. Brahman, okay, so God is Brahman. Oh, okay, so Brahman is the name of the God. Don't think like that. Brahman is everything and everywhere. And any action that is being performed, okay, is nothing but God alone. Meaning, there's any action that is involved is by God, for God, meaning I don't have anything, any say in it. Everything is happening because of the presence of God alone. Okay. And everything I see, Adhibhuta. Okay, so the karma is all God alone. Yajna is all God alone. Adhibhuta. Adhibhuta means anything and everything I see all around in this world of physical existence is God alone. Adhidaiva, meaning centered on like deities, meaning all the cosmic beings, all the everything in the cosmos that we say, right? This Bhagwan, that Bhagwan, as in like, uh, 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 Indra Devata, Varuna Devata, like that. All the Devatas that I know, all of that is God alone. And any performances I do, all of that is God alone. So now this kind of a attitude when someone has Adhyatmika, Adidaivika, Adibhautika, right? Everything is Adibhuta, right? Actually, the term here is Adibhuta. So all of this is none other than God. There's nothing other than God. This is my firm belief. Whereas in the previous case, for a jnani, it is firm understanding. In this case, it is belief. And with that belief, they live their entire life. And even at the time of death, they are thinking about God. And when they are thinking about God in that manner, they will reach God. Why? Because whatever form that we think about at the end of our life, that would define our next step, or like the next phase of our journey. Meaning, next phase of our journey means when we are dying, if we think about a particular thing, that would become center point in our next life. Now, how do you determine what is the last thought? That is determined by how we lived our life. Okay, what are we craving throughout our life? That is what we remember at the last minute. So, therefore, what should we do? We must try to remember Bhagwan as much as we can all along. For that, what we had to do is we have to practice. And now, when we're practicing, how we should practice, what all needs to be done, it is said. That is where in the last class we talked about in the shloka, ninth shloka, we said, Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Anuraniyam Anoraniyam Sam Anusmaret Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasak Parastat. So, this is the shloka that we chanted last week and understood. Right? Kavim meaning one who is an all knower is Kavim. Puranam meaning ancient, meaning like he is beyond time. Anushasitaram is right within me and he is inner controller. Okay. Now, whether it is inner controller as well as external controller. And he is smaller than the smallest or subtler than the subtlest. Subtler than the subtlest meaning he is not made of anything else rather everything is made of him. And so like this, and this form is unknown, achintyam, meaning like I cannot think about his form because God is beyond anything and everything that is in this universe. Okay. So, meaning like he is everything, anything and everything in this universe, but he is also beyond anything and everything in this universe. So, I cannot really understand, I cannot really grasp the overall thing. And he is the karma phaladata, sarvasya dhataram. Okay. And with this kind of a thought, we we should be thinking and we will reach God in this manner. So this is what these are certain things that are told for us um, in our last session. So do you have any questions before we go to our next shloka? So in next shloka, actually we chanted it a couple of times, so I'm not going to break it again. But like please repeat after me. One of you go off mute and repeat after me. प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन
प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन
भक्त्या युक्तयोगबलेन चैव
भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव
भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक्
भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमवेश्य सम्यक्
सतं परं पुरुषम् उपैति दिव्यम्.
सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम् पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्.
Purusham upayati divyam. Okay. Yeah. So now Bhagwan, what he's doing is that he is actually giving a little bit more details. Okay. And in this particular shloka, what he's talking is that how at the time of death, okay, prayana kale, meaning marana kale, at the time of death, what this seeker is doing is that if he is practicing yoga, because this is the type of yoga that we are talking about, is the Kriya Yoga, or what's it called? The typical asanas, pranayama, right? Like the Patanjali Yoga, right? If they are practicing that kind of a yoga, they can actually help a little bit more. I mean, all of those would help a little bit more at the time of death. How? What happens is that at the time of death, prana kale, they're going to use yoga bala, the strength that they have got through the yoga. Okay. And with that yoga, what they do is that, okay, this manasa achalena, okay, and the mind, they are going to study at the time of death. Okay. So these yogis who practice yoga, meaning pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, etc., if they have practiced all their life, even at the time of death, they can attempt to study their mind, and along with devotion, bhaktya yuktaha, okay, with devotion, okay, and then what happens is that they bhruvor madhye pranamaveshya. So this bhruvor madhye pranamaveshya is bhruva is this eyebrows. Okay, bhruvor madhya means this part. Okay, between the eyes. So between the eyes, they direct their pranas. So that means what happens is that when we breathe in, when we inhale, the prana, okay, what is prana? Prana is nothing but the vital air that is outside in the atmosphere. When the air that is outside in the atmosphere, when it enters into our body, it becomes prana. Okay. Now this prana, it is spread all over the body. And now they, in some of the things in pranayama, what do they do? Like the practitioners of yoga, they learn different techniques of pranayama, right? So like, okay, in through left nostril, out through right nostril, in through right nostril, out through left nostril. Okay, so bring the air into lungs. Okay, no, air into throat. Okay, put the air in the nose. Actually, push the air to the forehead. Like that, they learn and practice. Because of that practice, what they can do is that they can actually direct the prana that is spread all over the body into the heart, as in, okay, and then there are like different types of nadis, we say. Okay, so nadi is basically an energy center. Okay. So like the energy paths, so they cannot be proven physically. Okay, so that means that if so for example, if a human body is dissected, you can see these are arteries, these are veins, these are capillaries, etc. But these nadis are just like the blood circulation system, except these are energy circulating system. Okay, and these nadis, there are like so many nadis in the body, and these pranas, as an energy, they can be directed to every portion of the body, every aspect of the body through this nadi system. Okay, the system of these nadis, this energy flows. These energy flows, what they can do is that with that, they can actually, and then there are like a few energy centers also, like, I mean, we call as chakras. Yeah, so like, what is the, like, what are the chakras, the, like, as in, call their names properly. The okay, my the names of those chakras escape my mind right now. But so so in so for example, like, one of the chakras in here is called as Ajna chakra, and at the top of the head it's called Sahasrara, like that. Okay, so this Sushumna Nadi is one of the popular, like, biggest nadis. Okay, and that, using that, what this yogi does is they actually direct this prana to this point. Okay, Bhor Madhye. And then from there, they bring the air to here and the top of the head. Now, at the top of the head, that is where they let the air go. Is it like the departure of the soul happens? The jiva happens through this point. When that happens, it is said that for such a person, the skull breaks. Okay? The skull breaks and the prana escapes through this and they go to Brahmaloka. For many of us, prana, the last portion, it escapes through various other already pre-existing openings. Some people may die. The last prana may go through their mouth, so they may open their mouth and pass away. Some people maybe through nostrils. Some people through their eyes. Okay, the pranas may leave through eyes if they're looking at some shocking thing. And in some other cases, it will be when it is when someone is last moment is of fear or something like that. It may be through the excretion, eteri organ, anus. So like that, prana may leave the body through many ways. And whereas in this particular case, when a seeker who has practiced yoga with the yoga bala, they can direct this flow of pranas. And when they do that, okay, not because they did this particular exercise in the last moment, not because of that, but because they have practiced their entire life in this manner, thinking about God as well as practice. That's why Saha Tam Paramam Purusham Upaiti Divyam. So such a person, he will reach extremely high abode. This high abode is called as Brahmaloka. And in Brahmaloka, the domain of Brahmaji. Now, this Brahmaji is not Brahman. Okay, this Brahmaji is the creator. And they live there. And now, obviously, this person did not gain knowledge yet, right? So, any kind of, because when there is, when the knowledge is not there, what happens? That means that there are still some karmas are there. Karma phala is still there. Okay. So, whatever those karma phalas are there, right? They actually exhaust those karma phalas in a subtle manner right there. And at the end of the Brahmaji's lifetime, Brahmaji teaches them this Brahma Jnana, and because at that time there are no more obstacles in mind, they understand and they realize the true nature and they will reach Bhagwan. Okay, as in like they get liberation. So this is the what we call as, this process is called as Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti is meaning sequential Mukti. The liberation that is done in sequence. Step 1, go to Brahmaloka. Step 2, gain Mukti. Okay, so this is the not second option, but this is alternate method. Okay, so for example, think about someone who wants to study in college. After high school, they apply to a bunch of colleges, and someone will get into college. And now think about someone who wants to do medicine. So probably they have worked hard and they got into integrated medical college or whatever, right? So where like in 6 years they will graduate from medical school, okay, after high school. Whereas some other people, what they need to do, they have to go through 4 years of college and write MCAT, I think, okay, and then another 4 years of medical school. Some other people who couldn't even make to college, they probably go to a 2-year associated degree, followed by a degree, and maybe depending on how they did, they could even get into medicine, and they can also become a doctor. So all of them are different paths. So in the same way, the path, the easiest, not easiest, but the immediate path is gaining Jivan Mukti, like gaining liberation right now, right here. That is the best. But if we are not able to do that, then this is another possibility. So this is what Bhagavan is saying. Okay, so prayana kale manasa achalena bhaktya yukta yoga balena chaiva bhor madhye pranamavesha samyak satamam paramam purusham upayati divyam. Now again, see this practice of yoga, practice of controlling breath and directing the prana, all of that is not a compulsory thing. Okay, it is just it could potentially help you if you are already living in this kind of a life before. Okay, so this is what keep this in mind. Okay, so any questions based on what you heard?
Venkat, like, I mean, in see 8, 9 and 10 are continuous, right? In 9, God is talking about his like, what is God sort of thing, right? What is Brahman? Like, I mean, I am this, I'm like, I'm everything, right? That's what. But in here, he's saying like the process of reaching him directly. Why he changed suddenly? Like, I mean, in what I'm saying, 9 in 9, he's talking about like like Puranam, Kavim, like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. So what Bhagavan is saying is that this is how you should think about me. See, the topic is like, okay, so what is the topic?
How can, yeah, I reach you, right?
Okay, so how can I reach? So what happened is that, okay, if you actually go to the previous shlokas, okay, what happened? Bhagavan is saying is that Arjuna has defined these particular terms.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Bhagavan has defined all the terms in 2 shlokas.
Yeah.
And then from the verse 5 onwards, Antakale cha mameva.
Yeah.
Okay?
Last. Mhm.
At the last breath, thinking about me. So that's where he started, and this entire chapter is about how one should be at the time of death. So there are like 2 things that are happening. How should I live continually throughout my life, and what happens at the time of death?
Yeah. Okay.
So now here, what he was saying is that in shloka 7, if you say, therefore, Arjuna, focus on me throughout. And for you to focus, in 8th verse, he says, use Abhyasa Yoga, meaning do practice. And the way you practice is that thinking about me in this direction, this direction. So when you have all of this at the time of death, what you can do is that in case if you have this power, this if you already did along with this understanding me as like a Kavim Puranam, Kavihi Puranaha, Anuraniyan, Sarvasya Dhataraha, Achintya Rupaha, Aditya Varnaha, like that. In addition to that, if you already practiced this, even this can help you to get little.
Rich.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what he is saying. But again, like, that is another one. Now, not only that, he also is saying something more. Okay. What he is saying is that you can add on something more if you want to. Okay. Or you can use a different method. Okay. So maybe, so that is, or this Kriya Yoga, or this yoga is one tool, additional tool in the box to make it easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Bhagwan is giving another tool to make it easy. Okay. So that is the next shloka. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so I'll break down the words. Okay. And we'll chant it. Okay. Yad aksharam. Yat aksharam becomes yad aksharam. Veda vido is Veda Vidaha becomes Veda Vido. Okay. Vadanti, simple word. Okay. Vishanti, one word. Yad Yatayo. Okay, that is Yat and Yatayaha becomes Yad Yatayaha, and because there's a word following that, that becomes Yad Yatayo. Vita Ragaha. Vita Ragaha. So two words. Yadichanto. So that is two words. Yat Ichantaha. Yadichantaha. And because there's a word following that, it becomes Yadichanto. Brahmacharyam. Single word Brahmacharyam. Charanti. Tatte. Tatte actually is actually tat and te. Okay, tatte. Padam. Single word. Sangrahena. Single word. Pravakshaye. Single word. Okay. So please repeat after me. Yadaksharam Vedavido Vadanti.
Oh, Jay, you're going. Sorry. I thought Jay is going. I'll go. Sorry, Venkat. Sorry.
Okay, that's it. Yadaksharam Vedavido Vadanti.
Yada aksharam dedo vido vadanti.
Vishanti Yadyatayo Vitaragaha.
Vishanti yad yatayo bitaraga.
Yadichanto Brahmacharyam Charanti.
Yadi icchanto brahmacharya charanti.
Tatte Padam Sangrahena Pravakshe.
Tate padam sangrahena pravekshaye
Pravakshe. Pravakshe.
pravakshaye.
Okay. So here now, when a person is departing, you can use bhakti, you can use yoga, and one more thing you can add. What is that? It is the power of a particular word, pranava. Okay, pranava is basically yat aksharam. Okay, so that yat means that one that is aksharam. Aksharam means something that perishes. Aksharam means one that doesn't perish is Aksharam. Okay. So one that is, so now in our Indian languages, the alphabets are called as Akshara. Okay. Why are alphabets called as Akshara? Is because if you take a book, this book can be broken into multiple sections. Each section can be broken into several paragraphs. Each paragraph can be broken into several sentences. Sentence can be broken into words. Words can be broken into syllables. Syllables can be broken into sometimes like a complex syllable can be broken into multiple aksharas. Okay, what can you break this multiple aksharas into? Like each of these akshara into? Nothing. So because they cannot be further broken down, these alphabets are called as akshara. Okay, so now, so this aksharam is referring to both. Okay, this aksharam is na ksharati iti aksharam avinashi. Avinashi meaning it is this. It is not going to be destroyed. So that aksharam, so that is indestructible. That path, okay, that location, okay, padam. See, padam again could be word, but padam can also mean a position. Okay, so that goal, okay, that position, meaning that goal that need to be reached, okay, that akshara goal that needs to be reached is yadaksharam. Okay, so ved vidah vadanti. What is that final goal that has to be reached? That is told by vadanti means told by veda vidaha. Veda meaning one who knows Vedas. Okay. And what is that aksharam? That akshara Brahma is one letter, which is Om. Om is a combination of three syllables, right? A, U, M. Actually, we say that Om is not just combination of three syllables, but rather there is a fourth one. The fourth one is silence. Okay. This Om, Omkara, Vasana is the additional means by which you can reach Bhagwan. Okay. And these people, those who understand this, okay, Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti, meaning those who knows the meaning of these Vedic statements, they teach their disciples what? Omkara and its meaning. Because Mandukya Upanishad is nothing but description of Omkara alone. Okay? The sound of Om alone. Vitaragaha yatyataya vishanti. Okay? So these people, again, who are these people who are learning all of this are Vitaragaha, meaning they dropped off their desires. They have uh, dropped off their desires, meaning they have dropped off their likes as well as dislikes. And they, because they dropped off their likes and dislikes, what happened is their attachments are gone. Because their attachments are gone, they can enter this Vishanti, meaning enter. Okay, they are entering Brahma Padam, meaning the abode of Brahman. Yadichantaha Brahmacharyam Charanti. Okay, so now what happened is that in order to gain this Brahma Padam, what did they do? Okay, Ichantaha, meaning in desirous of this Brahma Padam, what did they do? They did something. Meaning what? They had sadhana chatushtaya sampannatvam. Sadhana chatushtaya sampannatvam means viveka, vairagya, shama, dama, uparama, titiksha, shraddha, samadhana, and mumukshutvam. So that means viveka is discrimination between what is permanent and what is impermanent, and detachment to everything that is impermanent, and the mental strength to withhold all other temptations, and a single focus on the goal. With that, what did they do? They must have reached a guru, and they must have taken a recourse in Gurukula, and Brahmacharyam Charanti. So they have practiced Brahmacharya. Brahmacharyam, typically, how do we translate into English is Brahmachari, meaning unmarried guy. Brahmacharyam or celibacy. Brahmacharyam doesn't, it is a narrow interpretation of the word celibacy is a narrow interpretation of Brahmacharyam. Brahmacharyam is not just celibacy. Okay, rather it is control of everything and control of everything in the sense of everything in moderation, number one. And Brahman Charanti iti also. So that means what? Like why mind is in Brahman. Mind is absorbed in Brahman. So in that way, when they are, why? Because that is where they want to go. Okay. So when they are doing that, okay, and that word, okay, so that Omkara is what tat te padam sangrahena pravakshe. So that Omkara is what I am going to describe. Okay, so that that padam, tat te padam, that particular word I am going to tell you in sangrahena, in a concise manner I am going to explain. There is a akshara. Using that akshara, you can get to me much faster. Let me explain that akshara. That's what Bhagwan is saying. So we may or may not be able to cover the next set of shlokas. So I'll spend a couple of few minutes in this nature of Omkara. So Om, as I said, it has 3 sound syllables and one, the fourth part is the silence. Okay. Now, so a yogi, I mean like a seeker, must be chanting Om. Now, that's why like in all our scriptures, etc., every prayer, everything starts with Om. Right? So, what is this Om, Ah, U, Ma, and silence? What does it mean? Now, if you simply see the word at the word level, right? When you chant Om carefully and you notice Om, where is the sound starting? And where is it progressing and where is it ending? It is starting here and it goes
Mhm.
up to here and then it comes out and then the mouth closes and then there is silence. Yes?
Mhm.
Now what happened in here? When I open my mouth, and what is the bass sound that comes is comes from here. Now if you say this central point, okay, from the top, actually, like okay, there, like if you say something, ooh, okay, so that means like ooh, when you say it is, the sound is kind of like the origin of the sound is somewhere on the top of the uh, what you call like top of the upper jaw. Ooh, okay, and mu is ending at the sound is coming right from the lips alone and by closing the lips. Okay. Now, is denoting that beginning. Okay. U is denoting that middle portion and mu is denoting that end portion. So, So we go through 3 states every day. What is that? What is the beginning? How do we begin our day? By waking up. So that Jagrad Avastha, that waking time, that waking state, and the world that I see everything outside during my waking time is represented by a. U is represented by, like, when I dream, when I go to dream. Okay, so that dreaming state, that Swapna Avastha, is represented by U. And now in the dream, do I see the world? Yes. Okay, but is it the external world that I see? No. It is a representation of external world right within my mind. Okay, so in my dream, I may see J, I may see Ravi. But is it the same J and Ravi that are outside that are in my dream? Are they different? Obviously, when I'm sleeping in my bed, right, Ravi didn't get up and walked all over or drove all over to come to my home to be in my dream. No, right? So that means what? The one who is in my dream is different from the actual Ravi who is outside. Okay? Now, and that Ravi existed for that period. Okay, and this is a subtle one who came from my mind and went back into my mind, merged into mind. That is the dreaming world. And this ma is the causal world where I am in deep sleep and everything is unmanifest. Am I even existing in my deep sleep? I don't know. Okay, I don't know who I am. I don't know the world. I don't know anything. But at the same time, it is not death, because when I come back as me only. Okay, a kind of a merger has happened where everything that is manifest has gone into unmanifest, and yet they retained their shape and form, because I slept as an engineer and I woke up as an engineer. If I sleep as engineer and I wake up as a lawyer, it's a problem. Right?
Yeah.
So that undifferentiated state, but when I wake up and everything I do, that unmanifest is alone determines what is going to be manifested when I wake up. Right? So hence that unmanifest state, in which everything that is there in undifferentiated state, that becomes the cause of waking state and dream state at an individual level. Or at a cosmic level, okay, this entire world is waking world. Okay, the entire subtle world means, like, all our thoughts are also subtle. Okay, see, the thing is that now you're thinking about something. Now, what you're thinking about and your thoughts, okay, your thoughts are not in this world. I mean, they are not, they cannot be concretized and shown. Okay, here is my thoughts. Okay? We cannot take our thought and show it to others. We can talk about it, etc., but the thought though is invisible. But yet it is there, right? So those are all subtle world. Okay, that is Sukshma Prapancha. And the cause of both Sthula and Sukshma Prapancha, meaning the physical world and subtle world, is the causal world, where the unmanifest thing, I mean, like, things are there in an unmanifest form that they're becoming manifest. And then afterwards, what happened? They exist for some time and they go to unmanifest state again. So when you see that creation in that way, what exactly is creation? Something,
Manifest.
whatever was not unmanifest, is being manifest. The process of manifesting of unmanifest stuff is creation. And while they are manifest, they are appearing to be there, that is sustenance. And they're merging back into unmanifest state is what we call as dissolution. So there is nothing created, nothing destroyed. Rather, they're going between manifest and unmanifest state. That's all. Okay. And all of them require some base. Okay. So what is that base? Is that silence. Simple thing, right? Now I'm chanting Om. Any word for that matter. Notice Om. Did you hear the sound Om? What was there before?
Silence. Nothing.
Afterwards also silence, right? So how did the sound came from silence?
From our prana.
Yeah, but there was no sound. Okay. So all sounds came from silence and all sounds merged into silence.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, when there was sound, was there silence or not?
The base is already there. It's always there, right?
So the silence is always there.
Always there. Yeah.
Okay. The silence is always there and the sound is superimposed on
Silence.
silence. And it is there for a while, it is gone. So the creation or the Srishti is also like that. Okay. The Brahman is always there, but Srishti comes and goes.
Results. Okay.
Okay. So, so that means what? Between the silence and Om and silence and Om and silence, what is real and what is unreal?
Only silence is real. Everything is all.
Silence is real. Om.
Everything is, yeah. Om is.
Okay. So what happened in these four syllables I said, right? Silence, A, U, M. Okay.
Silence is permanent.
Silence is permanent. Now, Omkara Japa, the purpose of Omkara Japa is not how many times I chant Om. That's not what it is. Have this kind of an understanding, and as you are chanting Om, the Om is helping you to recognize the silence. Okay. So, Om, 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 Om. That is, I won't say it is useless, but that has got value, no doubt. But the more value is when you chant Om, Om, like that with silence in between, and then slowly pay attention to the silence in between the chants, between each Om, and then you revel in silence. Not the quietude, okay? Not the quietude. Ah, it is so quiet. I like this quietness. No, not that way. Okay? But understand that the silence is Bhagwan. Okay? That the state where there is no disturbance is Bhagwan. So the state where there are no thoughts is Bhagwan, like that, right? So try to come into thought-free movement, not thoughtless, not thought-free. Okay, so that is what this Omkara Japa is. Okay? And that, again, see, with this, what is happening with this Omkara Japa is, Japa or practice is that your mind is slowly getting the glimpse of the Lord. Okay, so 1 second.
Wow.
Good. So much.
Yeah.
So, the phone was ringing. Okay, so this is the purpose of the Omkara Japa. So this is what Bhagwan is giving as a uh, uh, another tool in your toolkit to attain
Okay.
God. Okay, and why is it a tool? Why is it not uh, deep way? Is because there's only so much time you can practice Omkara Japa. Okay, so that's why it is a tool. Okay, so use this tool on a regular basis, on a daily basis. So I think this is a good conclusion for uh, for our satsang for this summer break. So any questions based on what you heard so far?
Awesome.
Good, Venkat.
Thank you.
So
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
so we'll close then. Oh. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य
Namaste,
पूर्णमादाय
Purnamada,
पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
Purnameva,
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ओम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि
Hari Om. Thank you, Venkat.